Charlie Smith. Emily Shinge is legit.
Right, Charlie Smith's gotta be knocked out again. Immediately.
Nice to do with that thing.
No, he's coming in where you can't touch him, see? Remove. Remove. I'm assuming.
Okay, so I apologize to the people on Zoom and the people.
And Easton's gotta go. We don't know who
Saw
Easton
this.
is.
We're being Zoom bombed by terrible people.
Yeah. it's like the-
Oh, you,
Don't
no,
remove,
that's,
you
that's,
just
that's
remove
Corey.
Corey.
You just remove Corey.
Okay,
Don't do that.
Don't repeat, don't
all
repeat.
right, so how do I do that? Don't report.
Yeah, definitely.
Corey, come back. Corey, come back.
I will. send-
Text him, send. All right, here's somebody that just has numbers. I'm just getting rid of them. See, there's a whole lot of people.
That's Fran. Fran is a public comment. He could leave her.
Who's MB?
Be it.
Don't we have the
There are
ability?
people in the chat saying.
Me, who are you? Well, you didn't answer me, you're gonna go bye-bye.
Your name is MB. Can you tell us who you are?
Emily's from Open Plans. She might be,
No, Emily is okay. Okay, I'm getting rid of this one.
Melissa Garcia. No, don't remove her. She's from.
Yeah.
No, he keeps switching, whoever
No,
this is, this is
Melissa
clever.
Garcia is from,
Right, no, I get
Yeah.
that, I get that, I get that. No, this one keeps moving
Okay.
around. Okay, we should have everybody. Emily, you're gonna be the one that's presenting next?
Hi, my colleague Talia, who's on the call, she's going to be presenting.
Who? Talia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give Talia some co-host privilege.
Okay, sorry about that again, everybody. It's
We
what happened at
apologize.
This committee meeting that I've known and, I'm sorry. It's also hard to do Zoom from the TV.
Possible to require people to sign in and admit them or not admit them.
Yes, we could,
And I
when we
think
set it up, we have to set it up that way. You have
Yes.
to ask to be admitted.
Right, I think that might be prudent.
We are still in public comment though, Debbie. I want to hear everybody out.
Okay, that's fine.
Does anybody in this room have public?
I just
comment?
wanted to know who I give co-host while I'm sitting here and I can see. Mary.
Randy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, this was following up on John's conversation before we got Zoom bombed. I walked around that area yesterday with my kids and the 108 is ticketing a lot and they are responding to 311s, but there are continuing to be cars there. And school starts on Thursday, and so that whole area is just going to get way more crowded over the next couple of days. And so I would imagine in the next week or so, there's going to be a lot more conversation to the 108th and to us about it. And so love to get our partners at DOT and 108 to be a little proactive on this one.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Joe, I want to ask you, there was a letter recently about the area.
Yeah, I was gonna wait to my piece to talk about it, but yeah, we sent a letter recently and we're gonna be doing some changes to the street regulations on that area on this point south. So what we're gonna be doing is in the areas where there's that extra travel lanes, where there's two travel lanes, essentially unnecessary to the flow of the neighborhood, so we are gonna be formalizing the parking along the curbside for where there are two travel lanes. And that's along Center Boulevard, 57th Avenue, and 2nd Street. And also we will be adding some quick curb to that bend at Center Boulevard and 57th Avenue to kind of prevent people from parking at the culverts. There's another issue with turning vehicles there.
Sorry for the interruptions. Appreciate that.
I figured they heard that.
Yeah, so that will address the issues of people parking and preventing turns for trucks and buses, you believe? Okay, so, keep eyes on the street and, watch for changes and let's see how it goes. If anything is missing signage, that makes things clear about where to park, let us know and we'll make sure that we have it looked at. Thank you so much. I wish John were back. I'm sorry that that happened. All right, anybody else, for public comment on Zoom?
Yeah, I have, okay,
Okay.
okay. I have this, I experienced something on Roosevelt Avenue. I tried to take the bus couple of times, and the bus stop where the bus can drop the ramp is blocked by those boxes. I don't know what they are, the containers or all around the right side of Roosevelt Avenue. So I don't know if they can keep some bus stops clear for people who are on wheelchairs and with carriages or walkers, because I had to walk with my wheelchair 2-3 blocks to find a clear bus stop to get on the bus, on Q32 mostly. It happened twice on 55th Street, 56th Street here on Roosevelt Avenue, and in Jackson Heights. I couldn't make it to the bus. I don't know if you saw them, all these containers, boxes all along the Roosevelt Avenue they're working on the trains or something, but they're blocking the bus stops.
Oh, are they? Yeah. Have they moved the bus stop at all, or the bus just stops?
No, I had to go 2-3 blocks to find my way to be able to get on the bus.
Yeah, and tell me again, which intersection?
The first one happened like near 74th Street and Roosevelt Avenue. For about 3, 4, 5 blocks I had to walk. And the second one was a couple of weeks ago near the library on 55th Street and Roosevelt Avenue. Or 56th Street, something.
Yeah.
Going toward the city on the right side.
Amaya, can you do me a favor and send an email to the office?
Okay,
102, and we can follow that up.
okay, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, I mean, I know if you're not on a wheelchair or having a baby carriage, you won't notice that. So
Yeah.
it's important to keep them clear because we cannot park cars anymore anywhere. Also.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much construction throughout the whole district.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that things are still accessible.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anybody else for public comment?
Hi, this is my first time here, so I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but may I make a quick comment?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you'll get
Okay.
about 2 minutes, no more.
Okay, great. I won't take that. So I just wanted to kind of ask if there were plans to like redo the paint signage on the Queensboro Bridge, the side that's now the bike side. Because I think it's really confusing that even though the signs above are really clear, a lot of people still don't know about the walking side on the south side. So then I've seen, like yesterday morning, I saw a cyclist and a runner basically get in a fight about whether to obey the signs above or the markings on the ground. So I think that's like kind of a source of conflict that's holding back that project from being like the complete success that I think it has been, the splitting out of those sides. And then one other kind of small thing is there's that, so when you're approaching the EM station, that's like right to the east where Queens Plaza North crosses Northern Boulevard, there's that corner where there's a ton of construction. That means that the pathway between the bus station and the subway entrance and the bike path and the walking path is like a total of maybe 3 feet. And they put up those orange little plastic bollards and the yellow things that make you go if you go over it on a bike. And I feel like that's part is just really messy and confusing and kind of dangerous to get through. Possibly that can't be solved until that construction moves back a little bit. But yeah, that's my public comment. Thanks for including me.
Thank you so much, Easton. Thank you very much for bringing that to us. Those are both issues that we have advocated for. And Joe, I don't know if you have an update during your time about any of that, or if you want to say anything now. I did send a couple letters over the summer about the lane markings on Queensboro Bridge and about the lack of clear signage that gets people on the bridge before they realize they're on the wrong lane.
Yeah, those are all things we're still in progress. Especially for the bridge markings. I know that they're doing the actual concrete work for the street improvement project on the Queen side. That's in progress. And so as that moves along, we'll start to see more signage and parking changes for the bridge. So right now the whole project's still a work in progress.
Why can't they just, black paint over the pedestrian signs that are on the north side where pedestrians aren't supposed to be? I mean, that's not expensive.
The markings of the signs.
The markings on the pavement, and there's that contradiction where, you think, and I have seen on some of the slacks that, there have been, like what Easton, I'm sure your full name Easton, but was saying, I 100% support that these fights have been going on, and, we can't have that. Let's deal with that. Isn't there an expedited process to get rid of those, just the markings on the pavement on the north side of the bridge?
Yeah, I know usually it's a lot easier to get them off if it was just on a street, because it's on a bridge, there's a lot more logistics that they all have to go through to get that off. Like the project team's well aware that this is an issue, that people are, having disagreements about it, and that I've let them know myself many times that this is something that we would like to see signed. And they're well aware, and they're working towards getting that corrected.
I hope they move it along.
Yeah, I will say-
Magic markers and start.
If any car lane went 6 months with confusing signage, there would be massive conflicts, and there would be an outcry. And there is an outcry from cyclists and pedestrians. And it would work a lot better. People would be having. I happened to be coming off on the Manhattan side of the bike lane, and I caught two runners who were confused that I was in their lane. And I said, "Oh, go around the block. That's the pedestrian lane. You'll be a lot happier." Thank you. Because on the Manhattan side, there's no clear sign that says there's no pedestrians until you loop around and you just miss the sign. Anyway, I did email all this stuff to DOT, and we're looking for changes. We all recognize it's a massive improvement and a great project, but we want to see it done soon. And then as far as the other thing, Easton, if you're listening, that corner there where the subway entrance and the bike lanes and the pedestrian lane, they all converge, is something that we've also talked about for a long time. It seems to be just a really challenging place. The only thing that I can think is for us to advocate for one of the car lanes to become a protected bike lane, as congestion pricing reduces the amount of car traffic to the bridge. And then we totally separate pedestrians and cyclists there and give everybody a little more space. I haven't done a study on that personally, but I think that's the solution there.
I would like to add one more comment about those yellow things. I mean, I nearly got pitched off my bike the first time I tried to go over them. They're far too aggressive. If you would take every other one out, it might be a little better. It's literally dangerous. I always go around on the other side, and I mean, they do work in a way, but they are dangerous, and I really did, and I'm an experienced cyclist. I knew that thrown off my bike.
Yeah, that are the wrong strips.
Yeah, but you don't need, take every other one out.
Yeah, and another thing about those rumble strips is they're bolted in, and people don't like to ride their bike over a bolt sticking out of the sidewalk. I know it was probably the contractor for the construction crew who did that.
Yeah.
But people go around it.
Okay.
Which is the purpose.
That's slow them down.
It slows people down, which it should, but nobody wants to ride over a bolt. And I guess if it slows them down, it's working.
Yeah, I saw two people out there like observing, and they were in like safety vests. So I sort of assumed it was the DOT team looking into how it was affecting traffic. And I would agree that I would think the main way it affects traffic is that cyclists and e-cyclists go to the other side and then navigate back, which is obviously worse than the alternative.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing it up at the meeting. All right, any other public comment here tonight? Great, thank you very much. Thank you. We have a presentation from Emily and Talia. Yep.
I guess before Talia gets started, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. I'm one of the organizers at Open Plans. We're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit here in the city. We do some advocacy around safer streets, better infrastructure, more public spaces in all neighborhoods. So we have a campaign on low traffic neighborhoods that we're really looking forward to sharing with you all today. Talia, our lead strategist, has been doing a lot of research around this campaign. So yeah, we're excited to share it with you all and get some feedback. I'll pass it to you, Talia.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Hi, hopefully everyone can hear me. Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
okay, cool. Like Emily said, I'm gonna try to rush through this because I know the time is short, but this is really like a new concept. It combines a lot of different concepts that maybe we are familiar with, but I'm gonna kind of like start from the beginning and walk all the way through, and then happy to take some questions. And maybe some of you are already familiar, but I like to give the full explanation. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah, let me try to present again. Is it in presentation mode?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're talking about today is a little bit about the amount of driving that's going on in the city and how we can reduce it. We're kind of focused on cut-through driving. So driving that is happening in your neighborhood that is probably not your neighbor driving. Everyone thinks that it's their neighbors driving, but most of the traffic and congestion comes from people outside the neighborhood. And often they're not even stopping in the neighborhood. So we have a lot of data around that. I'm not going to dive like super deep into it. But just to set the stage, that's our focus is eliminating cut-through driving. Neighborhood streets in New York have become highways. Many of you could probably think about neighborhood streets that have become overburdened with cars these days. Some of that is because of the grid layout. The grid can help in a lot of places. It can diffuse traffic so that no one street is getting too many cars. But in an environment we're in right now where there's a lot of driving and more driving, it just means that every street is becoming kind of a highway or a mini highway. The problem is exacerbated by apps like Google Maps and Waze. If there's a lot of traffic in one area, they'll kind of reroute you onto a neighborhood street to get you somewhere faster. And then car ownership and driving in New York City has gone up, even though the population is not going up at the same pace. So that's just like, laying out the lay of the land. We're not imagining these issues. They're real, and I'm gonna like very quickly fly through this data. This is the population data and the car registration rates going up. So we have more cars in New York City than we did before, more cars per person. And then I'll just settle here for a second. This is VMT, which is vehicle miles traveled since 2004. That's the last date that New York City shares that data publicly. So I don't have the data from before then, but you can see here that the trajectory is going up. There was a brief blip in COVID and something happened in 2012. I'm not sure what, but basically there's more driving every year in New York City. And we think that trend is probably continuing based on what we're seeing for 2023 and 2024. So we have like a problem on our hands. Our neighborhood streets are becoming congested. Everyone feels it, but no one really has a solution for for how to deal with it, or rather congestion pricing was a great success and we're going to add some other solutions that we can think about. We want to talk about the neighborhood. There's a lot of street improvements that happen on the corridor level. So one single street gets improvements, but we want to talk about neighborhoods. And a lot of people think about their street as their area where they live as a neighborhood. And we have some data showing that people know what they want in their neighborhoods. They know that traffic in their neighborhoods endangers children. These are large margins. It's like kind of surprisingly large margins. They know that neighborhood streets need to be designed more for pedestrians rather than cars. And they know that traffic is reducing the quality of the life in the neighborhood. So there's like pretty decent consensus around the problem. But there's not been like a very powerful proposal for how to improve the neighborhood streets. So we're going to talk about a single approach that delivers all of these outcomes. It's a neighborhood approach that is targeting cut-through traffic. That's its main target, and maybe some of you have already seen this presentation, but we're talking about low traffic neighborhoods. And the goal here is to manage traffic. So we're going to redirect through traffic away from residential areas, which creates a really safe environment for everyone who uses the street in the neighborhood, for everyone remaining. So kind of stop using the neighborhood streets as arterials and letting everyone enjoy them. How to design a low traffic neighborhood. These are all of this data and all this information is coming from, I had to cut back some of the information is coming from examples in London and Barcelona and Berlin. So I'm not making this up, but I do want to like show you kind of a simplified version here of what this could look like. This is the most basic grid, and everywhere we would do this, we would need to modify it according to the neighborhood that we're in. But we just wanted to show the very simple model, which puts these diagonal diverters in a few key spots so that cars cannot drive from one side of the neighborhood to the other. They have to go back out onto the boundary roads. It's very small changes, but it creates a really big improvement for the neighborhood. This is like the impact on the cars, on the circulation. So you can see that every car in this model, every car can reach every destination. So no one, like, if you have to get to your apartment building with a car, you can get there. Emergency services, everyone can get everywhere via vehicle, but it's not that fun for a vehicle to drive in the neighborhood. You know, you have to have a reason to be there in order to drive in the neighborhood. Maybe you go to school there, or you have other business in the neighborhood. So it reduces the amount of vehicles on the streets drastically. Of course, bikes and pedestrians can go in all directions. There's no limit in terms of where they can go. And this is the key feature. I'm sure some of you have seen these. New York NYC DOT does use these diverters. They have a few around the city, but they don't have them in a neighborhood setup. So they've done it like on a single corridor, which is okay. It's a good start, but we think that the improvements can be much better if they are applied in a neighborhood way. So these are simple diverters. It can be used planters, it can be bollards, it can be paint. It's not an expensive improvement, and it mostly doesn't reduce parking. It just adds daylighting to the corners, which is already like a necessary safety improvement. Where there's extra space, we can create plazas. So between the park and the school, for example, with no one having to cut through the neighborhood, that space can be returned to the community because there's access to the school on the other street. So we don't need double access, and that spot can become a plaza. And then once there's all this space in the neighborhood, and if the neighbors want it, they can start creating shared space streets. So this is kind of like the going the extra mile in the low traffic neighborhood model. where the streets are converted into more shared spaces over time when there's less cars. So when this is going well, through routes for private vehicles are redirected away from the residential streets. Access to all homes by private vehicles maintained, and like I said, delivery and emergency vehicles can still access any destination in the zone. And then longer car journeys need to use the boundary roads. That's kind of the goal here. Keep longer car journeys as close as possible to the highways, but on the bigger roads as well. And then streets within the LTN become safe for people of all ages, and the streets return to be public spaces. So that's the model. Like I said, this is happening all over the world. A lot of our data is based on London. They have 115 low traffic neighborhoods, but it's happening in Berlin, in Bogota, in Barcelona, and these are just some pictures of them. The data. So London started doing these 10 years ago, so they have all these like models now, and they've been studying. They have control groups. They can account for demographic differences, and the data is just amazing. Basically, in a low traffic neighborhood, there's almost 50% less driving. So just think about the amount of space that's given back to the neighborhood by sending away cut through driving. And then it is counterintuitive, but even on the boundary roads, on the bigger roads surrounding the low traffic neighborhood, there is a decrease in driving. That said, it doesn't feel that way to the neighborhood because there's such a big difference in driving on the low traffic neighborhood. There's such a big reduction. The boundary roads will still feel like regular roads. And so that is a bit hard for people to understand. The reason the traffic goes down on boundary roads is because fewer people drive to the area and people within the low traffic neighborhood drive less. Of course, because there's less driving, there's also less crashes. There's a 50% reduction in car-related casualties. And there's less crime, which I think is a pretty great data point, and speaks to kind of what happens when we reclaim the streets for communities. The crime, it says here 10 to 18% reduction in crime. There's less crime the longer the low traffic neighborhood has been in place. So 10% is like the newer low traffic neighborhoods, and the 18% is the more veteran low traffic neighborhoods. A little bit more data. Air quality improves, of course, with fewer cars driving through the neighborhood. Air quality gets better. And even on the boundary roads, the air quality improves substantially because even a small reduction in percentage on a boundary road is a big improvement in terms of air quality. And it increases active travel. So we see here 25% more active travel once those streets are given back to people. And in London, you know, they have like very good centralized kind of health data. They know that it also increases life expectancy by about 200 days. And prevents 500,000 sick days annually, which I think is amazing. Just it's good on so many levels. I'm almost done here, and I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but I want to make sure we have time for questions. LTNs are self-enforcing. They don't require any maintenance. They don't. You shouldn't be in a situation where we're removing barricades. They need to be permanent. And oh, sorry. The extra space is going back to the community. This picture is from the super blocks in Barcelona. And you can see here that cars have access to all sides of it, but they can't go through. So the entire center of the intersection can become a plaza for the neighborhood. With lower traffic volumes, we actually won't need separated bike lanes or separated sections of the street for different road users as much because the streets are calm and quiet. Everyone who's in the neighborhood is doing business in the neighborhood. And so while we still would need protected bike lanes on the boundary roads within the low traffic neighborhood, the space becomes more shared and fluid. And then low traffic neighborhoods are inexpensive to implement. They're pretty cheap. Like I showed you, it's just those diverters And the city can do kind of cheaper models or nicer models depending on how they want, and it saves the city a lot of money in terms of health benefits. This map of London shows the different low traffic neighborhoods. You can see that they do them like inner city, and they can do they do the outer boroughs as well. And in London, the model is, after they did a bunch of pilots, the model is now based on neighborhoods requesting low traffic neighborhoods. So they're growing all the time. And the colors on this screen are, I think the pink purple ones are the early low traffic neighborhoods, and the blue ones are the newer ones. That I think that's how they categorize the different colors on this map. And then just to, I like to be super clear because people still have a lot of questions about this, but LTNs are not pedestrianization. We're not closing off streets to cars. Cars can still access the entire neighborhood. It's very clear. It's very important that we're clear about that. Everyone can still access their home via vehicle if necessary. But they have to go in the right directions onto the boundary roads. There's no need to remove parking. So low traffic neighborhoods can be better sometimes if we remove parking, but that's not what we're advocating for. We're advocating for starting with just making the diagonal diverters and managing the traffic. We don't need to lose parking in order to have a low traffic neighborhood. I know for some communities that's very important. Again, there's no prohibition here of vehicle access, emergency services, garbage trucks, everyone can get through. And we always get this question about emergency response times. In London, they studied this rigorously because this was like the #1 concern that neighborhoods had about low traffic neighborhoods. And the data is showing that low traffic neighborhoods either maintain response times or reduce response times. And that's because there's fewer cars driving and clogging up the streets. There's a great video of the London chief of the fire department basically laying out the data because no one was believing it when the reports were coming out. Okay, that's all the like background and research. We can go into more examples, but I'll pause here for questions, and apologies if I repeated stuff you already know.
All right, well, thank you so much for the presentation. We really appreciate it. You came to us to present, and I wanted everyone to see this because, as you show on the screen, it's in our district, 39th Avenue Bike Boulevard, and there are always a lot of questions about why it exists, what it does, and whose harebrained idea it was. And we've had to organically discover what a low traffic neighborhood is because that diverter and other things that happened on the 39th Avenue Bike Boulevard did reduce cut-through traffic. I mean, it eliminated cut-through traffic and reduced traffic and slowed down traffic so that a child could ride a bike on that street without being in too much danger. What's that? What does?
Those barriers are really making up through the neighborhood, not.
The barriers? What I'm saying is it reduces cut-through traffic. It used to be that 39th Avenue was a straight cut-through from Woodside Avenue to Barnett.
And ultimately to the 59th Street Bridge.
Yeah, so you can cut through and not have to take Northern Boulevard or Queens Boulevard, and that's no longer possible. You'd have to turn off the street at some point. So anybody coming from outer Queens to go to Manhattan or from Manhattan to outer Queens no longer goes through this neighborhood unless they're visiting Donato's for fine Italian food.
I have to say, as one of the people in the development and evolution of this 39th Ave Bike Boulevard, I was one of the ones that was doing the barricades and moving stuff around. And frankly, now I've had to hire a personal trainer because I no longer am moving those stuff.
Yeah, Roz and I were part of that team together. That brought him to this committee board. Just meeting people in the neighborhood and being out on the street, which is all covered in this presentation. So I appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, yeah.
I'd like to know what the criteria is for the definition of neighborhood. Because in Queens, it's kind of nice and flat and you can pick out different neighborhoods around, but how would this happen easily in more urban neighborhoods of New York? Like if you were in Upper Manhattan or the Bronx, how would you pick a neighborhood to prevent cars from cutting through when most of them, there's an awful lot of high-rise buildings and, you know, I mean, it's not a similar type neighborhood as it is more residential in Queens or Brooklyn.
Yeah, if I'm understanding your question correctly, it's about how to choose a neighborhood.
Now, what do you consider a neighborhood in order to say, well, here's an area that I would like to stop a lot of traffic from going through it and keep traffic running along the perimeter?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we could approach it. I mean, um, the way with the experts that I've been talking to in Berlin and London, I think there's a few criteria we can look at to decide it. One is identifying neighborhood streets that have become cut through. So starting in an area where we know there's a problem, or if you think in your mind right now, where near me is there a street that is being used as a cut through that shouldn't be? So one is like identifying areas where we have clear problems, like other safety improvements, looking at the facilities, where do we have schools, parks, senior homes that we want to make really safe pedestrian areas, key neighborhood connection points, and planning around that. And then what London has done is identify some characteristics for boundary roads, which we've heard that DOT is also interested in doing. Some characteristics for what's a natural boundary road. And I think in some cases a boundary road is really clear, and in some cases, like you're saying, it's not, and we would have to make some decisions about it. Yeah, so there is criteria, but some of it is also going to be community input and experimentation with a pilot and learning from it.
Questioning our neighborhood, because when you talked about boundary roads, I was thinking, first of all, things like, say, the Shore Parkway or, areas like that. But I think there are these arterials. So I guess Northern Boulevard and Queens Boulevard are clearly boundary roads in terms of neighborhoods. But in our neighborhood, what about Skillman Avenue, for instance, and 43rd? They both, do permit a lot of, I don't know if you call it cut through or not. What about Skillman, for instance? I mean, people, that's one way you really can travel quite a length. It's one way. So how do you define, is a boundary road an arterial road? Was I right in
Yeah.
saying Queens Boulevard and Northern Boulevard are certainly boundary roads?
I'm less familiar with your neighborhoods, so I can't diagnose it right now.
Just to quickly chime in, I would say Northern Boulevard definitely would be a boundary road, same with Queens.
Queens Boulevard.
Queens Boulevard too, yeah. Skillman Ave, it is a little bit more quiet, I would say, compared to the other two that you just mentioned, so probably not really, but if the neighborhood sees like it as a good option to be a boundary road, then absolutely. Our main goal here today is to spread awareness, but also get some feedback on what the neighborhood views, would consider to be a good boundary road. So those are great suggestions.
I think it's an exciting thing. Thank you for this presentation. I didn't realize it was coming, and this 39th Ave has been absolutely incredible, and it's interesting. The history to me is very interesting because we in the community, we want more speed bumps and slow people down, that kind of stuff. And then when whoever it was in DOT really, they're the professionals, and they came up with a much better plan.
I'll add one more data point that I forgot to share, which is that we do know that cut through numbers for the CB, which is at about 74%. I don't know if I said that at the top, but about 36% of the driving is within is either has a start or an end in the neighborhood. 74% is just cutting through. So just when you keep that, it's just important to keep that in mind, because when we make these changes, we're mostly trying to target the cut through drivers, not local residents. We're trying to preserve quiet streets for local residents and then push out the cut through.
Oh, and I think that there's an increase in cars because children are moving out of their parents' houses and they're staying home and they now have a car too. Times 10,000.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of the things that we advocate for, and I think that the city is moving towards, is how to deal with the problem of everybody wants a car. Everybody, has the privilege. Everybody's an American and it's their right to have a car, but the city can't hold that many cars. There's not enough parking spots. There's not enough lanes. So how do you make things better for people who choose to use transit, pedestrianization, for pedestrians, cycling? You give everybody a different choice and make sure that they're safe and comfortable with doing it. And cars will always exist, as long as this is America. But I live on a street where I would gladly get rid of cut-through traffic and give much slower traffic, and I would sign up for this right away, even if it meant reducing parking. And even if it meant I had to go around the block to get home. And that's one of the main things we hear about 39th Avenue is people are like, why do I have to go around 2 blocks to get home and waste all this gas and harm the environment? So it's good to see presentations with actual data, studies, pictures, reasoning. I think the more that word gets out, the more things change. Does anybody have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah. Yes, 31st Avenue in Astoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but
Very pleasant to be on.
yeah, I've heard.
That's all I'll say.
And it's reducing cut through traffic and
Through one-way conversions, yes.
yeah. And that's what I think, I want to see more of that, and I think a lot of people want to see more of that. I'll talk about it later, but we're reading the survey that the community board put out, and the top issues are all about better transit, but also safer streets, slower cars. This kind of stuff. The people want it. Does somebody have a question online?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
A quick question. It was mentioned like senior citizen, like to block the traffic from senior citizens area, but some people cannot walk to get to their houses. So talking from my own experience, I'm a wheelchair user, so I need door-to-door transportation, and it doesn't work for me, like area with no traffic or no cars. I'm not able to walk to my house if I don't use a car or some kind of transportation.
Yeah, and I think what this presentation showed is that it's not about taking away the option, that you can still go door to door, and Sunnyside, where 39th Avenue Bike Boulevard is a good example. Anybody can get anywhere within that neighborhood by car. There's no place that's blocked off. You may have to go around the block in a car to get.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what this particular thing is talking about.
Yeah.
There are places where there's open streets and school streets that might eliminate car traffic at certain hours of the day or all time. I think that's different from what's being presented today.
Yeah, that was my next thing, because I live across the street, from PS 11, and when school starts and dismissal time and school, in the morning, it's unbelievable. The traffic, the beeping, the noise, and it's very, very difficult to be around.
Yeah, that's car culture. Yeah.
Yeah, especially it's gonna start soon. School will
No, I
start,
think
and
that might be solved by a school street which it eliminates all vehicular traffic in front of schools.
So
We can talk about that later.
They can help at school streets as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you help with that.
Yeah, I've heard from Open Plans in the past, about school streets and where, you know, if anybody wants a school street that's close to traffic in front of their school, talk to Open Plans, talk to us, and we'll see if we can get something started. Cool. All right, if there's no more questions.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
another thought on this, when we talking about the boundary roads. Seems that there's kind of a quid pro quo of sorts, that what you need to also improve is the flow for vehicular traffic, whether it's, you know, public transit, buses and so on, and cars on those roads. And I think there's some of the roads they've done that more effectively than others. I think Queens Boulevard works pretty well. It's hard to know with Northern, I haven't driven on Northern one, except once or twice since these changes have occurred. But I do think that we can't forget that part of it. That's why when I raised the issue of Skillman Act, Skillman is important for, if I'm in one neighborhood and I'm in my vehicle, and I have to take somebody, say, into Manhattan, I don't want to have to go all the way up to Queens Boulevard or Northern Boulevard necessarily, but so maybe there's a kind of a balance there. And that's, I guess, part of the issue of the design, allowing for different models.
Yeah, there are some examples where you don't have to necessarily go through the boundary roads to get somewhere. You could like kind of do a U-turn within one of the roads on the inside. But yeah, those designs, there's so many different options that the neighborhood, you know, if Skillman Ave is already in place, kind of working around what's already on the ground now, including, you know, Queens Boulevard and Northern Boulevard.
Maybe part of the evolution of this concept is to design it in certain particular places, like 31st Avenue, 39th Ave, and then it can expand outward.
Yeah, I'd love to keep the conversation going on this for sure. We do have like some resolution language that we're working on that we would love to share at a later date if the board is interested. And then, of course, continue that conversation on what would work best for the neighborhood, continuing to get that feedback. That'd be really helpful as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming and presenting to us. We really appreciate it, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the conversation.
Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, excellent. Nothing under traffic enforcement issues. We continue to hear about illegal parking on sidewalks and crosswalks. I hear it from everywhere. Bye, Emily, thank you. It's a real problem, so I think I might ask this committee to maybe write another letter, resolution letter, asking the 108 precinct to enforce against sidewalk.
No,
Because there is a new captain who said that he was going to, but we continue to see it in the same spots all the time.
Is there anywhere in particular?
Yeah,
yeah.
everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah.
Auto repair shop.
Okay.
Just about everywhere.
Does traffic enforcement issues only include cars?
Yes, no, of course not. Traffic includes people who are walking too fast.
And
Bikes, mopeds, anybody, yeah, anybody where we want to see it enforced, and that's also in the survey as well. People are fed up with mopeds, bicycles in the wrong place.
on the wrong side of the street.
Yeah.
You know, the wrong way. The double parking on Queens Boulevard. I mean, especially when you gotta come from down 48th Avenue and then you're whipping out 2 lanes to get down to Queens Boulevard going west. And then there's double park delivery or something else, so you're left to 1 lane. It's
Double
crazy.
park cars you talking about, or double park bikes?
Trucks, delivery trucks,
Oh, yeah, well.
Cars. but it gets you down to 1 lane. But I'm saying bikes also, because
Yeah.
they're still crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
We've gotten a few complaints in our office about, bicycles disobeying signals, signage. We need to get better signage for the bikes. And remember there was a whole big thing about stop, look and listen when you were a kid, you know, to cross the street. And so I think we need some kind of, I guess, so everybody has the right enforcement in traffic.
Great. Yeah.
We're starting to get complaints here that no one, when I say no one, no pedestrian, no car, no bike, truck is obeying traffic laws. And I think that has to be an education globally. No, I think a lot of it is frustration. And you just say, hell of it, I'm going, you know, who cares? Me, and I'm going.
But I think we have to also look at, you know, people often vote with their feet. And so, and if you watch, I mean, why is this behavior, for instance, of bicyclists who are not observing every stop sign, red light as such? Why does that happen? I mean, I don't observe all those, and am I a big lawbreaker? It's only because the laws were written for cars, not bikes. And it's not safe for me to stay and wait until the red light changes and all the vehicles are suddenly going and turning. We need to get out of that intersection. And so we need to look at it, and I do think also, but I do think also that we need to look at the harm that is caused. Nobody wants to be buzzed by a cyclist that's doing appropriate and all the rest. But are people getting hurt? Are people really, you know, what is causing the fatalities and the serious injuries? That has to be the priority. And that's not the mopeds, even though there's these little scooters that go zooming fast.
Crazy.
They're crazy, yeah. And so I do think we have to look at those, the data of injuries and what is in fatalities.
Well, I think there's problems with the culture. Everybody's got a me first kind of attitude. And I don't know if we can fix that. Everybody, you know, and especially like post-COVID, we all noticed that people got a lot nastier, you know, drivers got nastier and everybody did. And like it is a world in conflict and we can't fix all that. But there are things that can be adjusted. Like, I don't agree that city bike should have gone down 15 miles per hour. It's very, very slow, but that was an adjustment based on the fact that people thought city bikes were out of control and going too fast. When a protected bike lane is built, a specific space is made for bicycles. And when a road doesn't have a protected bike lane, then the cyclist is either vulnerable in traffic or they choose to be on the sidewalk, making other people vulnerable. As somebody who is mainly a pedestrian, I don't like when cyclists are on the sidewalk. I don't like when e-bikes or mopeds are on the sidewalk. And I'm sure cyclists don't like when trucks are right behind them in the street. So it's a matter of adjusting everything. What I'm saying is we have to be conscious of the fact that there's something in our culture that makes us be in conflict with each other and also take what's ours. You know, that's also very American. And we're not being empathetic and we're not looking out for each other and thinking, oh, what is the pedestrian's experience if I go through this crosswalk? I see it all the time. I stop at a stop line and crosswalk and I see all the cyclists roll right into the crosswalk so that the people have to walk around them. And it's terrible, but we can't school the whole world. We can ask DOT to make safer roads that separate people so that they feel safe. We can slow down traffic and we can make wider sidewalks and better pedestrian crossings.
Better signage.
But if we're angry all the time about the fact that it's chaos everywhere, I think we're just gonna be angry all the time.
Well, I better say bike.
Better say-
I have a bike next to me that stops at the light, or stops at the stop sign. I roll down my window and I thank them for stopping. But I feel that if I'm stopped at a stop sign and I have a parking lane next to me and I'm taking the time to turn around to look to make sure there's not a bike coming out, the least the bicyclist can do is not go through the red light or the stop sign. I have my job to do and a bicyclist has their job to do. So
And for the other side, I am a cyclist as well. I bicycle to work in Manhattan, and there's a lot of places that are. I've almost been hit daily in my ride. There are a lot of very hairy places, and as Roz says, it's sometimes better just to be ahead of everything.
I understand.
I take Second Avenue, which is perfectly programmed and set up for a nice, safe bike ride if you follow all the green lights. I love that. Sometimes you're on the street that's not bad. Most of the good streets in our neighborhood are great, like Skillman or Bowman Avenue.
I'd like to, this all discussion started with the parking on the sidewalk and the, the car repair shops and so on. And I don't know, because I didn't see anything that was clear, but I know that I'm still on the budget committee. We are supposed to give advice as to our priorities and concerns. And excuse me, this was one of the things that I would have put on my own list. I have a little list here
Yeah.
for that discussion, hoping that it's going to happen. And how, I don't know exactly how to, what we should be asking for. Is it a study to identify where this problem is occurring with or consultancy with, that would help us identify how to fix it? Now, of course, assuming we know where the problem is, but should we be deferring that? Are we going to have some?
Yeah, I think maybe in new business, we'll have a conversation about the budget, and that's a tricky issue because the police are supposed to be enforcing it and they choose not to. So should we fund the police? Should we ask for funding for the police for that? I feel like they have the resources to ticket and they're not doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm not even high on the enforcement side as much as make it self-enforcing by putting in, like, for instance, these flex posts are violated all the time and literally chopped down. The one at the Woodside Ave, those 5 or 6 of them, I mean, they pile them up neatly in that grass and the little parklet thing in the triangle there. And I mean, I have no idea who could be doing this, obviously. So, I mean, how many times have you replaced those?
About 3 times.
At least
They
3
just got
times.
replaced last week, yeah.
Yeah, and now I try to count and see how long they stay up, but it's clearly, and what is it that is the motivation?
There's some part, or the shopping.
I never seen anyone park there unless they're doing it overnight or something. I don't know. I wonder, I don't
It doesn't even stop them from parking there. I have yet to figure this out.
You could, if you wanted to, you could see the car, they got chopped that.
know. From the DOT.
Not saying that's what you should do,
Yeah.
but I'm gathering my idea what the motivation there.
Can I ask Randy? Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to build on some of the things. I think, one, thank you for the civil conversation. I think we have a limited amount of public way and public thoroughfares. We're not Singapore, we're not making extra street, and we have a lot of competing things. And I think a lot of competing uses on a very reduced amount of surface area. And I think the way I like to think about it is, how can we have a proportional response to the proportional amount of the thing that is doing the most damage? And I think I would love to have DOT and our data team help us keep continual statistics about what is actually causing the harm, because I don't have the data right with me, but it's probably trucks and private vehicles that are doing the harms, with probably motorized bicycles coming in somewhere way down on the way. So as we're trying to apportion this limited space, I think to the presentation we saw today, a lot of what we need to do, or the toolkits that we need to have, are things that redesign the streets, so that we don't rely on signage, we don't rely on markings that are out of date, so that people argue, is that a pedestrian marking? Is it a marking for bicycles? And part of that, I think, is how might we get DOT, either funding, political will, processes, whatever, so that we can move faster, so that quick build items are quicker and more permanent things are more permanent and quicker. And so I would love to, like, as we move into the next budget cycles, think about how we can enlarge our toolbox. So it's just not signage and it's just not enforcement.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. We did have a presentation at our last meeting, I think, for the break, that showed like the statistics, which is the great majority of the harm is from cars and trucks, and e-bikes and bikes do very, very fractional damage. But it doesn't make it easier when you get buzzed, when you have to be careful where you step.
Yep.
I think that's the main thing. Like when my son was a toddler, I couldn't let him walk on the sidewalk because often a truck would turn into a driveway and nearly run him over. If you don't feel safe on the sidewalk, you don't feel safe in the crosswalk or in the streets, then you don't feel safe anywhere.
Yep.
And it's about making people feel safe, the very little public way we have. Yeah.
Oh, I would hope, Randy, that you, maybe you should come to the budget meetings, there's an open meetings law and you can come. And give us some more specific input on there. I think that discussion from this committee, we really need to use this opportunity.
Yeah, I'll talk later about what the survey shows, and it's what other surveys have shown for our district. Should we move on to Joe at DOT updates?
Thursday. Yeah, I'll just run down the list of what I have today. Starting off with Blitzville, so that the Review Avenue Safety Improvement Project, I would say is substantially complete at this point. Based on what Tom was sharing, it sounds like it's about 99% complete, which is a little bit of concrete work left. But the bike lanes are in, the road has been reorganized, the speed cushions have been reinstalled, all signage and markings should be in, from what I understand. And we even came back after the fact to work with some of the businesses to install some no standing zones, so they have some truck turn clearance areas directly across from their businesses. So we were able to get some channelization markings in, and some no standing signage to have that space for trucks to turn in and out of the loading bays there. So glad to see that one in pretty quickly for project 2. And I know the last I heard from the team, the last thing they wanted to do was install some remaining Jersey barriers. They might be in at this point. I do have to go check myself. But I would expect those to be in by now.
I think there were three.
I know they're supposed to be installed closer to the Laurel Hill Boulevard side. I believe they should be in. Yeah. So if anything, that's what would be there, and the rest of the zone parking protected. After that point. So I believe that's what should be going off that, and I'll definitely check in on the remaining concrete work for that project, with new headlamps that went for that project.
That project does not include the extension, or is that coming next year, going down further along with, Review down to Warden Ave and so.
Yeah, so that's, so the other half that was originally presented on, down Borden Avenue to Center Boulevard, that is still in its design phase. So once we know more about when that could be implemented, because we definitely have to do a little more outreach with that project as well.
But it's still in the works.
Yeah, it's definitely in the works. It's just definitely a little more complicated design wise than this project. Yeah, because because of a lot of the more major streets it crosses with interfacing with the tunnel roads and the railroad crossings. It's very complicated to route anything through there right now. So we're working through that. But yeah, that should be the next phase of this project. That portion of it. And
Well, I just want to say thank you.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot through August, so I was not able to do it. I saw it on the instruction, so I look forward to riding it.
It's definitely, a good ride so far. Move on to further down the list. This is cut off area, but I think this Woodside section, 60th Street and 37th Avenue, that study is still open for, always stop there. Another update for, I believe this was a always stops study at 50th, 50th Avenue between 65th place and 60th Street. So from what I saw, that was an always stop request, but that was not approved. Just to correct that case number at the end, it's F5H8. So there's a car there.
Which one?
For 50th Avenue.
You said F5H8?
Yes. So before there was also an always stop request for 54th Street and 39th Avenue, that is still active. Actually the case number for that as well. It's DOT dash 670326 L5D9. Also, this request for studying bike infrastructure along 39th Avenue, that is still under review. And if you want, I can also provide the case number for that one. Sure.
The bike infrastructure.
It's requesting the extension of bike infrastructure east on 39th Avenue, east of Woodside.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was the letter that was sent. That one is DOT dash 669918 dash P364. So moving back to see Long Island City, there was a request for the Queensboro Bridge bike path issues. So that street improvement project is still in progress, like I said earlier in the meeting. Right now they're doing concrete work and some of the more extensive drilling and infrastructure changes on Queens Plaza proper. Between, I believe it's 27th Street and Crescent Street, where some of the new pathways are gonna be built out of concrete there, and that new landing at the base of the bridge for the South Area Roadway walkway.
What's the plan for the marathon?
Uh,
That stuff, I mean,
yeah, I mean, all of this was built with the marathon in mind.
Yeah, okay.
So
good.
when it happens, there's not gonna be like a bench in the way of the
Yeah.
thing. So they definitely kept that in mind, and I think that was mentioned in the actual presentation that we first brought it to the board. Cause that's, our special events teams on top of all stuff like that, especially for the marathon or the bike tour, around 11th Street over there too. Yeah, so I know that concrete's in progress, and later on, included with that, there's gonna be that new signal at Crescent Street to cross Queens Plaza. Yeah, and so once all that work is getting, put in the ground, we should also see the updates to the markings on the bridge itself too, and some additional signage as well. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to mention, that I did touch on earlier in the meeting was that, the letter we sent out recently with the changes to Center Boulevard, East 57th Avenue and 2nd Street over there. They'll formalize the curb regulations over there. I know that was, a few meetings back here, that was a big issue that many community members came to, voice their concerns about. So we are gonna be formalizing the parking on the curb there. In the areas where there are two travel lanes. And also along with that, we did see a lot of issues with turn movements at Center Boulevard and 57th Avenue, that curve of that bend in the road there. Because I know there was some issues with vehicles being struck by trucks there. So we're gonna be very similar to Queens Plaza North. Not sure. right, Queens Plaza North, right as it's approaching 29th Street, I believe, there's a curve. In the service road there, that we have that quick curve in the sides of the road to help prevent parking there. So that's something similar like that is gonna be at Center Boulevard 57th Avenue. So I hope keep that clear for any turn. Yes.
Will that address the issue with the bus routes that are the first stop? Is that the same place?
We the can help address that. I know. I need to familiarize myself with the actual bus route changes, but I believe they said they were turning off 56 onto Center Boulevard or,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's correct.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
it goes down Second Street south and then it takes a right on 56th Avenue and there's already a daylighted curb there that needs repainted and then they take a right onto Center Boulevard from 56th Avenue. And
Okay. Yeah, so I would expect these changes to address that too, because it does include, the remarking of the road on Center Boulevard and that intersection there. So I would expect that to help this condition. Especially with the buses going through there now. And that is all for me.
Nice. Well, in that same area, I wish John Suarez had been able to stay on. He had brought to the board's attention before the summer that drivers were driving onto the greenway in that area to take photographs. And he had put in a request for bollards at I guess where the ramps are, the sidewalk. I don't know if it's still an issue, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Nothing happened.
Yeah, I know that there was some actual enforcement going on of that, and there was some back and forth with people that was happening there. I do need to find out if this is part of the park or not, because that would be state parks issue, but I need to find out if that's in the actual right of way street or in the park, because I know the bike built that bike path program and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd have to look into that a little deeper.
Sure, yeah, if you could, and get back to us.
Yeah, and then also do let me know if like you have heard anything else, or if it's, if it was just pop season issues.
Yeah, which will come every year, so.
Yeah.
And again, like, when people break the law, it creates conflict, if somebody has to ride their bike, their kid around a car that's parked on a greenway, then there's all of a sudden conflict between the two, and very poorly,
Yeah. I hate.
Yes.
Who handles stop signs not being visible because tree branches are hanging?
We would direct that to parks, to get some tree trimming done.
When you have to know where it is, it will come to you and then that person parks, so.
Well, if anything, I would recommend bringing that directly to parks, because they can send it to their forestry division, that does the tree trimming.
I found that 311 complaints get resolved.
Very bad.
Yeah, so I will look give parks credit, they are very responsive to tree trimming by flying signs.
Okay, do we handle Queens Boulevard and 64th Street by the, firehouse?
What was the issue?
That's where if you're traveling east on Queens Boulevard and you wanna get out from the main road into the side road, that exit lands you right at the entrance to the hotel, which has either a car or their jitney parked there. So if you're coming up the side road and a car is coming in from the main road, and buses come down the side road also, there's always something there, and I don't know how to solve it, because I understand that the hotel needs their jitney to take people back and forth to the airport, but it's something that's not right to that position there.
Do you know if they have a hotel loading zone out there?
I don't know. I don't know if they would have anything in the back for that, but I would imagine that people coming from the airport are going into the hotel, through the front of the hotel to sign in at the desk. I don't know. So the jitney would be,
Is it double parked or is that the issue?
no, it's by the curb, but it's right with the side entrance to get to the side road from the main road on Queens Boulevard. He ends it. If you want to go to the then it's the next street.
Is it blocking traffic, or I'm just trying to visualize the road there?
Well, if somebody's coming out of main Queens Boulevard to get to the side road,
Yes, they would merge onto the service road.
Yeah, but the jitney is right there, that's the entrance to the hotel. Plus there are cars coming up the side road. Coming from the main road onto the side road and coming up the side road, and there you have the jitney.
But it's in the parking.
It's not, there's no parking lane. It's because everything is going up to the BQE.
So it's two traveling?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's, look at where the exit is from the main road, you're only left with, it may be only the one travel lane, I don't know. But I'm always having to go around it, and then as I'm going around, there's another car coming in this way. Well, you have bike lane going there too.
Yeah.
I have to watch out for the bikes.
Everybody watch out. Look, stop, look, listen. Stop, look and listen.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's no- So,
I didn't know.
yeah, cause I see that, I see that the service road becomes its own lane there. Yeah, that ends up, the two lanes don't merge, they just end up next to each other, but that lane's blocked by the anything on the curb side, okay. Yeah, that's.
It's
that's
just
a
the
little
wrong
bit of-
place where there to be an entrance to the hotel.
Yeah,
If it were up on the road, there would be any.
All right. well,
Hey,
that-
Joe, one more clarifying question. The striping that would be on, for Center and 56, you and I brought this up maybe 2 meetings ago when everybody was, called in about the 57th and Center parking, about the road markings, the zebra stripes at Second Street at 56th Avenue. Do you know if part of the restriping of, that you talked about, will that put those markings back?
I mean, from what I understand, the whole entire stretch of the curbside there is gonna be formalized for actual parking now, instead of having
Okay.
that channelization marking.
Okay, thank you.
Formalized for actual.
Oh, so right now it's very informal parking, right? Even though the regulations say that parking will apply, that you can't park there, we're gonna actually change that to have formal parking. Because right now it's done.
Metered.
That's another conversation we have to have, but right now it's just, to just put in, to make it legal to park. But
It would seriously consider metering it. It does.
that is something that's
People come in, I believe it was in May or something, that they were expected to find on-street parking.
Yeah.
And permits of parking.
If that's something the board wants, you could definitely have a conversation, because I know that's something that we've heard in the past, when we've had an onsite about Center Boulevard and something there for a long term vehicle storage. So that's a conversation we can definitely have.
Yeah.
Especially with the land use that's there,
Mhm.
with the park and the constant turnover that's happening.
Do you happen to know how long inside heaven it's going to be in the present graded condition? You know,
Like the street condition.
graded, you know.
Oh, you mean, it's milled, okay, yeah, usually. The minimum time is around 2 weeks. It can take longer if there's
It's
utility work.
already been 3 years.
Yeah, so if there ever is, if there's any utility work that needs to be done, it's usually a little longer. Because when they open up the street, that's the opportunity to come and do any street work. But I'd have to check the permits,
I see.
I'd have to check the permits, because there's a lot of other factors besides that, like weather, how soon the crew can get back there. Sometimes DEP will do some work.
We will wait.
So it could be any number of things, but I'll check the schedule and see if it's gonna be within the next week or so.
Let me,
Well-
let Maury talk, because
Oh,
we
sorry.
interrupted him,
Yep.
and then we'll get back to Woodside Avenue. Maury, you had a question?
Hi, yeah, it's a little bit, it's just bringing up an old thing, so if you want me to do that later, that's fine too.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
All right, and I apologize, for being so late. I had a conflict, so thanks for humoring me here. I just wanted to follow up, from last, session, our last meetings back in the spring. Just to follow up to see if I haven't driven on it lately or ridden a bicycle or anything, but coming off of the bridge coming into Queens, I'm just following up on the issue with the no lines painted, both right after you get off the bridge, and as well as over the what we've been calling the Sunnyside Bridge over the yards. And has there been any new painting of the lines or laying down the lines, however they do it?
I mean, I'd have to check, myself if they're down. I don't know if anyone's been there recently, but, if anything, I would recommend getting that reported to 311. So I would be able to follow that as it gets assigned to different units and put on the schedule and things like that.
All right, because I know this was one that I think Debbie first mentioned, like in like March or April, and then I followed up once or twice in the end of the spring. And we thought it was going to be work that was going to get done over the summer season. So are you just not sure if that's ever been recorded or reported or what?
You know if that was ever reported,
Sure.
the markings coming off?
Well, I know, I think Debbie
But,
did.
but we don't know if the markings would replace.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever been done. I was thinking more because I know when we talked about it with Joe in the spring, I thought it was going to be followed up with by DOT as a summer project.
Markings on the bike lane.
No, I think
The lane markings.
just the lane markings.
Yeah, the lane markings.
Yeah, for the vehicles.
Oh.
I mean, I hope though that work happening in that area that maybe there'll be some repainting.
Sure.
Along. I hope so.
It's just so dangerous because nobody can see the lines, so they drive in each other's lanes, and especially at night or if it's raining, it's really bad for everybody, all types
So
of.
can you follow that up and let us know?
Thank you all.
And just to review, there's gonna be a stoplight at the at the base of the bridge now.
Yeah.
That's
at
gonna
Crescent
change
Street.
traffic a lot.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll definitely see how that
yeah,
changes.
well, it's gonna slow people down. They're not gonna be racing off the bridge anymore unless
Yeah.
there's a green light. Yeah, but like other bridges, Williamsburg Bridge has a stoplight at the end.
They should have a sign somewhere in the middle saying there is a light at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be part of it.
Yeah. I will note that I reported a crosswalk that needs restriping in February. And it's September and it hasn't been restriped. I'll send the email.
Yeah, definitely
But
re-up that and we can.
It feels like there's milling season and then painting
Yes.
season.
Exactly.
Well, it is all happening.
The milling season just seems to be taking longer.
You know,
Yeah.
I look around and I appreciate all the work being done in our neighborhoods. It means, people like new fresh roads and new markings and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
sometimes things take a very long time.
Unfortunately, yes.
I want to get back to Woodside Avenue. I had sent some emails to, about Woodside Avenue, now that it has been milled and is going to be repaved, it's a blank slate for a lot of the things that we've asked for as this committee. Better crosswalks, curb cuts, crosswalks, just especially at 39th Avenue and Woodside Avenue. Those are very long crosswalks with very, very fast turns. For an area that serves many elementary schools and parks.
Yeah.
So this is a great opportunity for us to see improvements, and I hope there's time now for your team to look at it.
Yeah, I know that they're already looking at, like 39th Avenue, like the letter that was sent. But we are definitely looking at Woodside long term as a whole, like Woodside Avenue as a whole. Especially because we're doing another safety project to the east of this, mainly in CB4. With some of the, expansions, there's one big diversion expansion, so like the entrance space there. But further down Woodside, we are, putting in some painted bike lane. And some curb extensions down Woodside Ave. And so long term, both our public ground team and our bikes team would like to, look at the whole of Woodside all the way up to essentially the railroad up there, where it crosses them. That's definitely a long term goal. So I think that's something I could definitely let them know, that the board definitely wants to see that.
The plan that you had for CB4 and it seemed really exciting, and then it seemed like CB2 got the short end of the stick. I mean, some minimal transformation of Woodside Ave beyond in our district, and I'm not quite sure why. But the part of Woodside Ave that I'm concerned about was raised at, in the May meeting, where, there was an issue at 39th Ave where vehicles were, they whip around that corner and it was crosswalk for pedestrians, but the visibility doesn't really allow them to be seen. And, sometime, I mean, have you been studying that and figuring out I'm not advocating for a stoplight. A, they're expensive, and B, I think drivers tend to race up to make the light, and it's kind of better not to have
You know,
that.
have a stop sign.
But a stop sign there
Yeah.
would be really helpful. Some further, and the same thing, I think also the issue of 39th Road as it comes into Woodside Ave and, because cars come around, they don't realize it's a two-way street. There's gotta be a better way to communicate that. I know that had come up, but let's focus just on the intersection of Woodside Ave and 39th Ave. Is there any movement on that? We sent you something, didn't we? Specifically on this.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I believe there is, a case open for that. I'm not sure right now on that, but I have to double check. And again, with the other kinds of improvements we want to do long term, I'll definitely talk with the team about that and see what can be done. Because I know this is it's just a problem for the sport itself.
One of the areas on Woodside Ave as a cyclist, I often, the lawbreaker here, salmon, meaning I go the wrong way on that section because that's how I get up to Queens Boulevard, on my bike.
Yeah.
The thought of having a two-way bike lane there, for instance, or a contraflow bike lane.
Yeah, and that is something I've definitely let the team know, that there's an interest to at least get to the park at minimum on that direction Woodside, from 39. And that was, piqued a little interest, so I think we'll have to continue the conversation about that.
There you go. So on the record, right?
So,
On the record, and just on that note, I put on the agenda new business. I'd like to talk about Woodside all the way up to Northern Boulevard. But I'll say it briefly because we're running long. That there's a new apartment building on Barnett being built, a Phipps building. There's a giant new high school that's opening up this week, right?
Yep.
And this is, Woodside Avenue is really the only pedestrian route, the main pedestrian route between neighborhoods, between Northern Boulevard and Sunnyside and Sunnyside Gardens towards Skillman and that area. And Woodside Avenue is just, it's terrible. It's not a great place to walk. You have to walk through pigeon excrement. You have to walk through auto body shops that park on the sidewalks. The crosswalks are, there's one that's very long and diagonal. There's another one at 37th Avenue that is very long. There's a lot of traffic there. So I would like to see DOT and other agencies focus on this as a main pedestrian route. And there's also no cyclist infrastructure on the street.
Yeah.
So you are trying to stay ahead of the cars at the light constantly. Yeah. So I think with the high school and with, it also bridges us to the neighborhoods Northern Boulevard. The massive part of Woodside, like they visit us and we visit them. Because of the railroad and because of parks, it is really the only street that connects the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So I would love for pedestrians to have a better experience, cyclists to have more safety, and drivers to just have a better time as well.
Yeah,
So I'd love for your teams to look at that.
It's definitely a missing connection. Especially with, a lot of we've done so many different projects around this one specific location, just not here. And I understand, we have the safety improvements coming to 51st Street on Northern Boulevard proper with the school. Got 39th Ave and then Woodside Ave east of here. So this is like I said, this is definitely a connection that all of our teams are looking at in the future. So I think it's helpful to know that, you know, this is something the board really wants to see.
Sure, yeah.
So, especially that connection over, you know, through the railroad over there.
So status of preventing the left turn off
I
of
mean, the-
Northern when cars are coming,
Yeah.
going west
Yeah.
on Northern and they want to get onto Woodside. And I gather there's gonna be detoured around.
Yeah.
Which I think is wonderful. Has that happened or not? Cause the schools.
Yeah, I was gonna say, school
Yeah.
opens in 2 days. It'd be nice if that
Yeah.
had gone in.
Because, it's a little more complicated because it's actual concrete work in the street. So once that island is built, then there won't even be an option to make that left turn. It's
Right.
not gonna be a turning lane.
Yeah.
So let's check in on the concrete work for that.
Do we think it's going to happen this year or it's going to wait over the winter?
I'll confirm. I would expect it to be this year, because we still have a good chunk of the season left. You know, we can do concrete work up until, you know, November. So, that I'll have to confirm if you think about it.
All right, yeah, thank you. And we did, we'll see how it goes, starting on Thursday, but we did ask for a protected bike lane in front of the school. We'll see how cyclists do, when people start pulling up in front of the school.
We would definitely be monitoring that.
Please do monitor it, because, cyclists are going past the school, they're going to the school, they need their lane, they need it
There are
protected.
tons of bike racks in front of that. school.
Yeah,
That-
very cool.
That's exciting. So,
So it's gonna get a lot of.
It'd be good then.
On
Good, that's
54th
cool.
Street, 54th Street around the corner from the school. It seems like there might be some changes happening there. I don't know if, DOT is planning anything. I know it might have been repaved maybe, and, there's no parking there, and I'm hoping that it's cleared out for more of the high school traffic,
Yeah,
to happen on 54th Street rather than Northern Boulevard.
I know during the presentation, they said they want that to be kind of a pick up a drop off area, so. I need to double check myself if there has been changes or if there's going to be changes to the sign there.
Yeah, I think, short-term parking.
Yeah.
And I know, Patricia, you bring up a lot that teachers need a place to park. You know, there's,
always.
yeah. I don't know,
It's an
so that
old
block
block.
there is,
It's a very old block.
that
Well,
block
we
is-
have permanent parking. I happen to know we were on vacation for 2 weeks and my son did park his stand there for the 2 weeks.
you know, that's against the law.
They're law break.
But yeah, it is a street where there is, street cleaning, so there's no reason to move your car in.
Yeah.
And if there's an active high school there, maybe people want to park there. So I would ask for short-term metered parking. It's for your team to monitor.
Well, and you know, if I realize any way you can provide that where teachers would have some priority, you know, if you have metering, they have placards. Well, it's not through the placard, I mean, through the, you know, it could be electronically through the park. Every time you have a parking meter, you could have a provision, people with disabilities, teachers by schools, that would allow them some priority towards parking.
Yeah, I know, in most school settings, we just have the standard no standing, for, you know, pick up and drop off or for buses to queue up. Teacher, sort of like authorized teacher parking, that is essentially a regulation that's frozen, at the moment. Because a regulation that's been in place since about like 2009, I'd say, where no new authorized teacher parking spaces are added. Like they're only to be replaced. Yeah, so that's why you'll only ever see it on like older schools.
It's like a 10-year program.
Yeah.
You have to get tenure.
essentially.
I will say, just for the record, that high school is served by the R train, by buses on Northern Boulevard, by City Bike, and by the Long Island Railroad, so teachers have plenty of options to come. And we-
Elevators.
And new elevators. Oh, and I have to also say that I didn't realize it was gonna happen, but this is MTA. The mosaics inside those train stations at Northern Boulevard are beautiful, which is really nice.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. It's very nice. All right, I think that's it for me, for Joe. Anybody got any final questions for DOT, and then we'll wrap up with few things. Did we, Cool. That's it.
I'll say whatever, since what.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, happy school season.
I don't go to school anymore, thankfully, but thank you anyway.
Traffic is a lot.
It does, and I'm not looking forward to it, but it'll be doable.
We're all back in town. The only thing that I'll discuss is, budget committee. We are the transportation committee. Thank you very much. We are the transportation committee, and the budget committee asks us to come up with a narrative for what our district needs, for the city budget and state budget towards transportation needs in our community. The survey that the community board sent out, reveals to us the top issues, being number one, subway service and quality. Meaning more subway service and better quality. I infer from a lot of the comments that once you get to the Long Island City 7 train stops, those are extremely packed all the time because they are the last one for Manhattan or first one to Queens. The second issue is pedestrian safety. The third issue is the bike network, meaning to expand the bike network. The fourth issue is traffic safety and enforcement. Fifth is open space. Sixth is bus service and quality, and seventh is accessibility. So we see like this, I know we hear a lot about parking, we hear a lot about cars, we hear a lot about that stuff, we hear it on the street. But the top 7 issues are all about transit and pedestrian and open space. So that is, it may feel like this committee might be a little weighted towards those issues, but it's been revealed to us in the Northern Boulevard Roosevelt Avenue survey that Julie Wan's office did, the One LIC survey, and our own community board survey, that these are the issues that are on people's minds. So our narrative will have to be better transit service, better pedestrian safety, an expanded bike network, traffic safety and enforcement.
Maybe open space for.
Open space, yeah, we lack open space, and
Why do they keep building buildings?
I think that the city doesn't own that land.
Got land for buildings or you got land for parks?
And Sunnyside Yards is land for parks.
Yeah, how you gonna do that? Yeah.
That's the next mayor.
Not my
That's the next governor. So, yeah, on that note, as a committee, if there's anything within those issues, that specific projects that we would advocate for, like the issue of traffic enforcement, so cars parked on sidewalks. I don't know how we put that in the budget, but if anybody has anything to add, the deadline approaches for making this budget.
I have some things, but one of the things in the narrative, I looked at it very carefully about 3 or 4 years ago. And one of the things that I put in was something along the lines that people should not move to our community. We should not be doing things that encourage people to move into our community with the expectation that they will find on-street parking. And I hope that will remain in that statement somewhere, because I think it's really important. And I mean, the issue with the 100 points, the issue in Long Island City with the new building where people came to this committee and, you know, were saying they're concerned because they couldn't figure out where they could park their cars and so on. But in a way, I wish we would have, with the Housing Connect lottery, they should make it clear that if you accept an offer to have to live in this wonderful glass tower and so on, you cannot expect to find parking here. Like, you know, the places where they have properties that people are being connected to, that should be, if it's not in there, but that's not what I really would like us to make sure in terms of the budget there are several things implementing Sammy's Law. And this, you know, a couple of years ago, it was a great achievement to give DOT the option to lower our speed limits down to 20 miles an hour and in some cases lower. And yet actually very little has happened in implementing this. And so I think, to me, it's really important that we, maybe we ask to identify where the speed limits can be. And we have a lot of slow streets that are already 40 miles an hour, but, if there are some other places. Second point would be daylighting throughout. Now, I don't know what happened with Councilmember Wan's, resolution, whether it came up for a vote in the city council that was promoting daylighting throughout the
I
city.
hadn't heard.
But, but at least in our district, the same sorts of things to identify where daylighting, hardened daylight, not just signs, creating a delivery zone or something. That to me is important. The priority on the bike networks in South Sunnyside, really crucial. And parking on sidewalks. So that's my list of 4 items. The other item that I don't think belongs at this point necessarily, but I'm very concerned about this linkage of, having alternate side restrictions on streets is strictly linked to places where sanitation operates. And I mean, to me, there really shouldn't be any streets that don't have some kind of alternate side or some kind of overnight limitation to prevent storage of vehicles. So maybe that's the way to put it, is to, measures that will discourage permanent storage of vehicles. That makes all of it.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we, different from last year, I think we'll contribute just a few, 3 to 5 or so. And then they'll be weighted to see if they're the most important issues in the community. Yes.
I would like to see a better understanding and access for seniors and young people. As far as transportation, car parking. We read that in the back and forth with Maury, that there's 2 spots that are by Walgreens and they should be handicapped parking. So people can get in.
Where are we talking?
There were spots in front of Walgreens that were reserved for, on 43rd Avenue.
45th Street, they reserved for a park and share.
So ride share company
that's
that is
gone.
no longer in business.
Oh,
This is,
I don't know.
Yeah.
they should,
I think it came around.
Oh, 5 year old.
there should be, more of an understanding of the needs of seniors and handicapped. in the
Sure.
neighborhoods.
So that's specifically more accessible parking spots, like for accessibility, placards.
Well, there's another part of it. Remember what Maya was saying a long time ago about, when she has her van
Right,
and the ramp comes out on the right side, so
Right into
then
the bike
if
lane.
she's in the bike lane, that's obviously seriously problematic. Now, maybe to have an item where they do a review of this. I mean, the place that I know this would happen a lot would be along Stillman Avenue bike lane. And the reason that that's on the right side of the road, I believe, is because there's that whole area along the side, Sunnyside Yards, that is where there's no, interacting traffic, no street. So it's a logical place, but it has that also.
Yeah, and I was more concerned about there should be some kind of handicap access or senior access to a spot at important places like the pharmacy, so you can go in and not be ticketed, but you're there for half an hour waiting for events. Or, like on Viewpoint, or someplace where there are little shops that they would want to go into, or grocery or something, there should be a place for them to go.
Yeah. Is this metered parking?
Well, it would be handicap parking.
And if somebody parks in that spot all day,
Well, there is no handicap parking on the streets, it's only in parking lots. But you see, what I think will solve the problem is metered parking, because metered parking
Yeah,
can
but I
be
wanted,
adjusted.
yes, but I would want the access for a handicap or a senior. That they could put in their little handy on the rearview mirror.
No, but you know what I'm saying, will accomplish the same thing, because with the metering, you
But
can
it would
set
have to
it
be,
up.
it would have to be metering in blue, with the blue.
No, it doesn't. If, what you could do, listen to me, you could easily make it so that if a person has a handicap permit and they go to that spot, they're not gonna be billed for it. It's gonna be free for them. It won't be free for other people, and it'll be enough of a
Well, that
flow.
would be the same as getting the DOT plaque.
Yeah, but this is better because it can be done all in more modern technology.
Yeah, but,
And it would.
no, I understand what you're saying, but
Just,
then you have to get that spot. I mean, if somebody if somebody is there in that spot that's closest to Rite Aid or the Walgreens, you don't have that spot.
if there's 3 or 4 spaces and it's metered, there's gonna be enough changeover.
And I have to wait the 15, 20,
No,
to
no,
30
no, no.
minutes.
I can tell you, when my husband was very ill, and we had to take him down to NYU Medical Center on 30th Street, there was metered parking, metered all the way around. There was always a space that you could find. Now, I didn't get a discount or anything, but it was a 2-hour space, long enough that, and if you had to, the kids would come out and refill the meter. And it really worked. It was it's an amazing system. Yeah.
And
I hear you, but
I
my-
don't want them to have to.
My concern is, so there's 1 or 2 Blue Mark spaces in front of Walgreens or a pharmacy. With no time limit, or is there a 15-minute time limit?
15 minutes too short.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when you just.
The problem is somebody's gonna park there and that spot won't be open. Somebody's gonna park there and that spot won't be open. I think enough people have placards, have the handicap sign, that they're gonna be like, that's my spot.
Well, that's the DOT to allow them to have handicap spot, handicap, sign.
But isn't it a universal sign, like show people from all over the country have the same thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well.
I'm just saying, I wonder how the city approaches that problem. I think metered parking does create more spaces for people, but you do have to pay for it. It's, it's real estate in New York,
It's not-
and
it's
you have
not-
to pay for real estate in New York. But there are, I think, we've talked about this before, there are no accessible parking spaces on the street.
It's real estate or not real estate in New York.
Mhm.
I'm concerned about the elderly and the handicapped people who get screwed. Because
Yeah.
they can't manage to get somewhere where walking, you feel the same? Bikes against cars, I feel the same, walking people against not. And they're getting screwed.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, are we inventing a new system for New York City, or does the system already exist in New York City?
Does it exist?
That's what I'm asking.
There are
Does it
no
exist?
handicap parking spaces
Sure.
legally, although I have to tell you, I have a patient out in Far Rockaway, it's in the city limits. She literally has painted the sidewalk blue for us.
Oh, yeah.
And she stores her vehicle.
It could be.
permanently.
I think we're all on the same page that there should be better accessibility. I don't know if it exists as something in New York,
So you're making.
but then we would advocate as a committee and a board to our elected officials for a program like that.
But I think what this really says is what we asked for is a study that would allow us to prioritize and enable and make life easier and fairer for people with limited mobility limitations. I think that is, we can all agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Bottom line is, what's the access? Bottom line.
But you do recognize that everybody wants to be able to drive their car to the place they want to go to and they park right in front.
Everybody wants to be able to walk easily, too.
Sure.
Let's,
I don't know what we're solving.
This is why I am a big fan of the bus network and doing things to facilitate it, because the buses are 100% accessible to people with all kinds of mobility limitations,
get to the bus.
including my son in his, 600 pounds of him in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to get to it.
yeah, well, there are ways to do that. Get the
All right.
buses to do.
So I'm gonna wrap things up. If there's anything else, any particular issues within our districts that are budgetary asks, capital or expense that we can think of as a priority, you can always, send it to me through Debbie. And we'll get it on, but, the budget committee is meeting quickly and I'm supposed to have a narrative. I think we have a narrative, but as far as for the asks, we're gonna need those. If we have a list of 5 capital or expense asks. Cool?
5 capital and 5 expense, right? Their format, I mean, there's a whole, Michael Rob has done an amazing job as treasurer in structuring the whole process. That's gonna be the challenge, is fitting into that new structure.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And they changed the structure a little.
Huh?
City planning changed the structure.
Yeah, you have to.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
All
Your
right,
next meeting is October 7th.
our next meeting is October
this-
7th.
But
This
budget,
committee.
yeah, the budget
This committee.
committee meets, what, on 18th or something like that?
Yeah. Full board meeting on Thursday,
See everybody Thursday.
have a
don't
motion to
forget.
end this meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to end the meeting, seconded.
Oh,
Yeah, second,
Everybody Thursday.
See everyone Thursday.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Right.